What's up, everybody? Brandon Lilly here with the Be Legendary podcast by Sornex. Just got through talking to my man, Vincent Rocco Vargas. He's just a really great guy. He's been an Army Ranger. He's been a Border Patrol agent. He's currently on the show Mayans, which is a spinoff of the Sons of Anarchy series. One of my favorite people, just a relentlessly positive guy, a family man, a guy that's got a really great story. Can't say enough good about him. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview as much as I did. I was just on his podcast last week, and this was kind of a flip-flop. So we delved into a lot of new topics. We touched on a couple things that were overlap, but we really did crack down into this. I had a blast talking to this guy. He's one of my favorites, and I think he'll be one of your favorites too. So as always, I want to say it on the front because I said it on the back. Stay strong, love yourself, and love somebody, and always be legendary. Vincent Rocco Vargas. We're just going to jump right into this. This is the second half of a two-part series that me and Vinny Rock Vargas have done. Yeah. What's up, dude? How you doing?
Good, man. What's going on?
Not too bad. Hey, we just did a podcast for you last week, and man, I've gotten some really awesome messages off of that. Not to try to steal your shine on your podcast here for us, but it was a really good thing for me, and I wanted to, and I'm highlighting this because I even said it on the video, for the Sornex ad that we put on Instagram. I learned a lot from our interview or our discussion, really, because I feel like so many times, dude, I just get in a rhythm of wanting to make people look better, highlight their stuff. And I feel like I turn into an interviewer, instead of just having a good conversation with somebody. And that's something that you made me very aware of because you've got that talent and I love it. So thank you again for having me on, man.
No,
and thanks for being on here.
No, dude, for sure. I appreciate it, man. I knew that a lot of my listeners needed to hear your message.
Yeah.
Because I've been following you. I know your message, and I think it's a good conversation just to have, just raw and real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think a lot of people are like? I think there's a lot of people that are struggling. I mean, a lot of dudes are just confused. Yeah. About how to live and navigate this modern day existence. And I think we talked about it on your podcast, guys that were at a high level doing things, whether it was business, military, sport, whatever it was. And then they're trying to figure out how to get their lives together and just move forward as somebody who is just a blue collar guy punching a time clock, which I respect the hell out of,
Yeah, for sure.
I just think people are, dude, I think everybody's struggling. I don't think it's just men. I mean, are you seeing the same kind of stuff? Because you got a positive podcast as well, and I know people reach out to you.
Yeah, man. I think people are looking for someone to follow, right? They're looking for someone to follow that they kind of, I guess, their thought process, they're like-minded individuals that kind of go align with theirs.
Yep.
And you're looking for that. When you find someone that you look up to but is super down to earth, it's easy to follow them and actually just be like, you know what, that's a good dude. I've never met him, but you know what, I want to be more like them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I've noticed a lot recently.
Well, and I think, in the social media world too, where like you can get parts of people, I can look at a Cameron Haynes and find motivation in the fact that dude is just doing stuff on another level day in and day out. I posted that deal about the marathon runner hitting 2 hours and 2 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's not just, I think you're exactly right. We are so maybe in a way as a society kind of just on our heels a little bit right now because there's so much unrest in the world today and there's so much going on. I think people are on their heels a little bit. And I think rather than, having a religion, so to say, just having people in your life that are doing cool things and following cool people and looking at those kind of things, like that's the best that I think Instagram and Facebook and social media can do is to get people off the couch and moving and living their best life, man. And that's something that I've really found about you. You're out there always encouraging people to just do better, That's one of my biggest draws to you. So where do you get your motivation? What fires you up?
Man, when people ask me, like, why do you do what you do? It always goes back to my kids. I think my father and my mother have always raised me, and they've always been the leaders in my life. They've always been the influencers in my life. They've always been relevant in my life.
How long have you been married now?
Oh, bro, you know what's funny? I can't even tell you. It's probably 40 It's probably 43 years, somewhere around that.
Yeah.
And,
Okay,
and,
cool.
and and they've gone through their struggle, right? They've gone through life, but they continue to stick together, but they've always been very deep rooted in family. And so I've done the same. And for me, like that's kind of my motivation is to I want to leave that legacy for my kids. Like, I did a podcast back in the day. It's like, who's going to be holding your hand on your deathbed? And I hope that I've done good enough for my kids and I've been there for them and I've mentored them enough where they want to be there the day that I take my last breath. You know what I mean? And so I continue to live in a way where I know all this stuff on social media is never going to disappear. Like it's tracked, it's locked in, and it's there. So everything I say, everything I do, is in a way can influence my kids, and so I have to be cognizant of that every time I do anything. And so I always want to be positive, but for some reason I am like even when things are hard, I get it. It's like life sucks sometimes, life gets hard, but you know what? If I keep moving forward, I keep going towards my goal, dude. I tend to find, small success in those little small success. I celebrate those, you know what I mean? And some people waiting for this big moment. Like I'd love for the day when I know I'm a multimillionaire and life is going to be comfortable from here on out. But it's not about that. I think it's about those small little successes in between that I find time to celebrate.
Well, so you're coming from a background of solidarity and uniformity in your childhood, and I'm the same way. My parents have been married, I want to say 41 years this year. So dude, the more we talk, the more we find out we got more and more in common than we could even imagine. But man, what has changed? And I know that so just to give people a little intro, I'm going to do a formal intro before this, but you've been a ranger, you've done acting, you're a business owner, and then you still, I really do see that you dedicate time to your family. And how do you make it all work? Because there's people out here with just a set schedule in the same town every single week, day to day, and they're struggling to make it work. So how's a guy like you, figure it out? Because dude, I'm in the same boat. I'm in the same situation that you're in. It's like you want to make this name for yourself, and you finally get to a point where there's positive offers. There's things where you're not, hand to mouth, check to check kind of deal, and you're finally starting to find your rhythm, but you can't do it all. You can't do everything. So what's your recipe, man?
Man, it's crazy. I can't say I've always had that, right? I know for a fact I haven't always had that. My kids,
but you admit it. But you admit it, and I think that's the first huge step.
I think the number one thing that's been beneficial in my life is acknowledging the fact that I suck sometimes, right? There's things that I'm not great at, and when I've been able to look in the mirror and say, "Hey, dude, right now you suck at being a dad, or you suck at being in your relationship, or you suck at whatever it is, fitness," right? That's another struggle of mine. And so like I've just acknowledged that I knew that I needed to be there for my kids. I needed to be the influence in their life other than their friends, right? You know what I mean? And so when I started to realize this, and this happened because of my first divorce, one of my daughters told me like we were spending time together finally, and I knew I needed to because they really didn't. I was working. I was the guy that was paying the bills and felt like that was justified enough as being a good dad. And then I realized like, man, my kids don't know me as a person.
Yeah.
My daughter was like, "Dad, I didn't know you were so funny." And that struck a chord, man. That for me was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, yeah, I'm a funny dude. Like, I find fun in everything." But she didn't know that about me because all she knew was Dad pays the bills, Dad comes in and says good morning, good night, whatever, and Dad's gone again.
Right.
And so that right there changed my outlook on everything, right? I tell people now, like, I try and find balance, and I say no to work more often than I say no to my family. Like, I say yes to family, no to work as often as I can. And obviously, I struggle with balance sometimes because I want to do more work because I know that work can potentially provide, financial means for my family. But then there's this, how much is too much, right? Like, so I have to just check myself all the time. And I have a wife that she knows the way I go. Like, I go 110% on everything I do. So she's kind of my checks and balances as well. That says, "Hey, you're getting a little weird with this. You're doing too much." And I'm like, "Okay, got it. Check."
Yeah. Well, I think we all need somebody to kind of be that balancing point, because I think, in a structural of any relationship, you're going to have variances. And I know, I think we're a lot alike. I can get down that rabbit hole, whether it's curiosity or just focus. And dude, I can miss everything. You know what I mean? I can be present, but I can miss everything. How long have you guys been together?
Oh, we've been together coming up on 4 years now. It's
Hell yeah, man.
yeah.
And as you've gotten older, you're what, 36 right now?
No, bro, I'm 37. Turned 38 in
37. Okay,
July.
same as me. All right. So as you've gotten older and you've kind of looked at yourself through different lenses and just evolved as a person, how much has your communication with your spouse changed? I mean,
Oh, bro, it's like, and I try to explain this to my kids. Like, we have the most open communication possible. Like, super, like everything's explained, everything is broken down. Even when there's an argument, there's not really an argument. If I can stop and be like, there's obviously miscommunication here. Let me break down what I was trying to say before this turns into a fight for no reason. You know what I mean?
right.
And that's been the biggest thing I think in this relationship than anything. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this marriage, I knew there was a lot of things I was weak at and I need to be better at. Right? Like one was obviously being there. Two was the communication, dude. That's huge. And in our relationship, like we have a really cool friendship because we talk about everything and we're comfortable with every conversation, even the uncomfortable conversation is still comfortable for us, and which is
Yeah.
very important.
Well, I think it seems like to me you get to a point where you're tired of the bullshit. You start seeing the warning signs of things a lot sooner, and you just kind of weed out the stuff that is not going to go anywhere. But if you find that rare person or that friend or a business colleague that's always going to keep you honest, but do so with your best interest too. It's like
Yeah,
they're not going to call you out to break you down. They're going to call you out and help you get better.
yeah,
And I think I've become better at that as myself as a friend too, because I've learned from other fantastic people, like Bert Soren being one, Rudy Reyes being another guy that I talked to, Ingrid Markham, people that are in my life and they're watching me from afar, but they can see those warning signs. It's like, haven't heard from you in a few weeks. What's going on, man? How you been?
yeah.
What's really happening? Dude, I think it's everything. And I mean, it trickles down to your kids too. Like, how old are your kids now?
Oh man, I
Oh,
got
you
from
got six, right?
yeah, yeah. So they go from 6 to 16.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, run the gambit, man.
Exactly. And I mean, how active are they individually? Like, are
Oh
they just
man, it's
crazy everywhere?
yeah. All six have different personalities, and they're all in some kind of sports or music. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's just a wild time. But it's funny when you say the communication thing. I can tell when my daughter's having a bad day just through her texting. Right?
Right.
I can tell when my buddies are having bad days just through their posts on social media. I'll be
Yep.
like, yo, that's different. I gotta hit him up and be like, hey, dude, you good? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but people do it to me too, right? We all like that's part of the communication as well. That's like that unspoken communication where it's
Yep.
like you just when someone posts something like some words and you're like, whoa, this dude's going through it right now. Let me hit him up, make sure he's good. But that happens with my kids and my wife, everybody.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's a responsibility, just a human responsibility to one another to like just to look out for each other. And I was talking to Vernon Griffith. He's a strength coach out at Virginia High Performance, and he said something the other day to me that kind of shook me, and it stuck with me, and I loved hearing him talk about it. Was that every human on this earth has their own solar system. Like no matter how important I think I am to your life, once this conversation's over, you're going to turn around, you're going to look at your world that's in front of you. And while I'm a part of it, I'm not really like the focus, but I'm looking at me as someone significant in your life. Doesn't always mean that you view me the same.
Yeah,
And he was like talking about it in reference to his kids. And I was like, holy shit, that makes so much sense. Like no matter how much I give to my son, he's just at an age right now. He's 11 going on 12 where everything is new. Everything is exciting. Middle school is the coolest thing in the world. And I don't really matter so much, How
yeah.
have you dealt with that? Because you're on the other side of that fence, and then you've also done it multiple times. I've just got one son, and it's driving me crazy. How do you do six?
Well, it's funny, man. Like they all deserve their own time, and
Uh-huh.
that's something that I try to be very cognizant about as well. It's like everyone deserves their one-on-one, their full, undivided attention from me, whether it be sports, whether it be schooling, whatever it is. And so I try and provide that for them. And like I said, like I don't want my kids to learn about like sex from their friends. They're never going to do it right. You know what I mean? And so like I try and be that uncomfortable conversation with them as well and everything. Like me and my 16-year-old daughter, I mean 16-year-old daughter, we all know 16 is that age where it's like things start getting really weird as a father for parenting a daughter. And so I'm like, hey man, be smart. And she also knows like the communication is there. So I guess it's always like I don't ever want to be my kid's friend. I always want them to know that I'm their father, but at the same time, I always want them to know that they can come to me for anything in communication. So I want to be that safety net for them. And so I guess I try and communicate that to them at a very early age. Like, hey, there's no question that's crazy to ask me. Drugs, sex, life, anything. I'll
Yeah.
tell you the truth, And so I just try and be that safety net that they know is like, I'm the backstop, bro. If we talk baseball, I'm the backstop. No matter
Yeah.
what, a wild pitch, come to me. I'll take care of it. And as
Yep.
long as I can hopefully be that in their head, I feel like I'm doing good enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, is that, are you kind of mimicking the parenting that you got, or do you look
Yeah,
at you think your parents were pretty good about that stuff?
well, it's both, right? I don't think my father wasn't a very good communicator, right? He's one kind of the old school, very stern, very tough,
Yep.
that Latino machismo, like men don't cry, men don't hug kind of mentality. And as he's gotten older and as I've kind of just grown into my own, things have changed. Now me and him hug it out like crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen him evolve as a man and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe that is not correct, And so as I became a parent, there's things I took from my parents that I loved, and there's things I didn't like so much that I'm like, I won't be doing that.
Right.
And I just kind of found my comfortable medium of what I believe in. Like, imagine faith. Like, my mother raised me very, very strict Catholic. Nothing against it. But for me, I don't want to do that to my kids, right? I wanted to give them, here's what I believe in. You have the option to choose otherwise. So there's a difference there. But I just felt like I'd much rather them choose on their own to follow a faith that I believe in or not. Doesn't
Right.
matter. I won't judge them for that. And so there's things I've taken from my family that I love, and there's things that I didn't like so much that I just tweaked myself for my own kids. And hopefully it freaking does good for them, right? Like, if we don't, I don't know, man. There's no like instructions for this.
Right. No, hell no, dude. I think it's one of the hardest things. I mean, there's no recipe book or user's manual for life. And I think it's so funny how, people figure out one area. I see a lot of these financial advisors. They figure out one area of success, and hell, I'm probably even guilty of it in a strength sense. I mean, I know I am. As I say this, I sound like a hypocrite, but I'm admitting it to discuss it. When I was good at strength, I was talking about strength, I was sharing strength, I was coaching strength, but I was so deficient in every other way. And I think that's what, and I hate to say this, but I think that's what happens to these people who are just at the ultimate rarefied air level of whatever it is they do. I mean, whether it's in business where you're making $1 billion a year, there might be a few guys that figure it out once they get the comfort of that kind of money. But on the come up, like to get that kind of money, I guarantee you they're falling apart elsewhere. Relationships,
100%.
And then the soldier, the guy that goes to war too much, the guy that continues to go back when his family's begging him to stay home. I mean, I'm nobody to choose what's right or wrong in that situation. But to be the best at being that, he has to sacrifice other things, athletics,
100%.
And I think that's what we're all trying to do is just, I think this generation has a little bit softer view on being the absolute best at one thing and trying to dissipate that down into being really good at a few things.
Yeah.
I mean, because like my dad's generation, it was like, you just go to work and you work hard and you'll get whatever you need, And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that was their role. And I think that you've mentioned it, I've mentioned it, that when you're a young parent, that's what you try to do is just be this bulldozer that just, it worked in sports. It worked for you in the military. You just keep bulldogging ahead and somehow you get through. Right.
Yeah.
But dude, when you get a little bit older, I'm so glad to hear that you and your dad, got a good relationship now.
Yeah.
What age were you when it kind of transitioned into more of a mutual respect kind of friendship level than father son?
Dude, it was tough because my dad, like I said, he's always been kind of he's been there my whole life and he's always been there to teach me, coach me, whatever the case. But a very hard version of it where I was like, man, I'd rather my dad not be at my game because he's just going to frustrate the hell out of me,
Yep.
But by the time 17 came around, you know what I mean? And I started dating, that's when he was like, okay, he started to become a man because it's just like, it's this kind of dad son thing. He's just like, so where were you last night? I was like, I was with my girlfriend. And he was like, okay, well, make sure you use condom. And it had nothing to do with sex, but for some reason, that's what he had to say. But that was his version of saying like, all right, cool, man. I'm your dad, whatever you need. But he didn't know how to project that. But from that time, from that point, it's like we became closer in relationship as in friends and that mutual respect. And I've kind of strayed away from allowing my father to kind of raise me because I'm stubborn and hard headed, just like he is. But
Right.
now me and him, we talk boxing all the time. We have this cool relationship. But it was this one point when he knew that I was kind of a man. I stand up for myself, and I was willing to just go out there. I'd move out if I needed to. Like I have no, I guess when he felt comfortable enough to know that okay, this guy's manning up and he's doing his thing,
Right.
that's when he finally like let the reins off and started being really, really like human. You know what I mean? He became a
Yeah.
human to me.
Well, I mean, you mentioned boxing. Is that something that you guys did
Oh,
together?
bro.
Were you into it? I know you said that you boxed a little bit when you were younger, right?
Yeah, yeah, man. My dad used to set up two chairs in the front yard and put gloves on me and wait for the first kid to get off the bus and say, "Hey, hey, box my son." And so we did this many years, and I boxed my older brother for many years, and I spent many years in boxing gyms sparring guys, just training. Man, my father wanted me to be able to protect myself, and part of me hated him for that. And then as I got older, realizing like, you know what, he didn't understand how to approach this,
Right.
but he did it in his way. And I've done a very similar thing with my kids. Like they all wrestle. Like every single one of them has done 3 seasons of wrestling at least. For only a reason is to be able to know how to protect themselves and have a little bit of self confidence in themselves.
Yeah.
But the way my dad did it was kind of a harsh way. And it's all good, right? It's all good. I feel good about it. But I wanted to give my kids the same experience, but in a little bit more, I guess, comfortable way. You know?
Do you,
Yeah,
do you
go
still
ahead.
follow boxing? I mean, do you guys get
Oh,
together to
bro.
watch fights and stuff?
So my father is a very well known cut man in boxing, and
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, that's his life. And
Hell yeah.
so definitely me and my wife try and buy tickets to the big fights that he goes to and support him. It's almost an addiction for our family, man.
Yeah.
We've been watching boxing since we were little, as a family. My mother, my brother, my everybody. And at the same time, as MMA advances as well, I've been trying to get him into it more with that because I'm into MMA. But
Yep.
yeah, that's our thing. That and motorcycles. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we connect on.
Hell yeah. So what are you riding right now? And that's a perfect segue into what you're doing professionally too. So for those of people that don't know, and I hope you do know, um, Vinny's a part of the new spinoff series of Sons of Anarchy, the Mayans. You're playing a pretty cool role on there. So did you get into bikes because of the role, or were you into bikes all along?
Well, dude, it's crazy. My father's been riding motorcycles most of my life.
Yep.
My uncles and everything, and I never had a desire to get on a motorcycle because when I was younger, I got on like a scooter and I
Yep.
crashed, and I was like, nah, I'm good.
Whiskey throttle.
Yeah, bro, it was so bad. It was so bad, man. Like, luckily, I had a helmet on because my whole head scraped across the asphalt for a while, you know.
Yeah.
But I went in for this audition, and they asked me, "Can you ride?" And a little flashback of me crashing on a moped. I'm like, "Yeah, a little bit," And they're like, "Okay, cool." So that's when I started like, look, I got the role. I need to learn how to ride for one, my own safety. And
Right.
so I enrolled in the Harley Davidson school course in LA, and I did the 3-day course, and from then I've been addicted. I bought a motorcycle. I have a Harley right now. It's a
Yep.
2017 Road King.
Yep.
And anytime I have good weather, man, we're out there. Me and my lady are out there cruising and just enjoying it, man, and just riding as safe as possible. I'm super terrified every time I get on that bike if I made the wrong decision to get on the bike that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I,
Well, that's the thing, man. I rode bikes every way but the right way for years. If it was either 0 or 100, there was no in between. And I saw a couple people get killed, and guys that were just doing trick riders. There's a place down here in Kentucky called the River. Everybody goes to on Thursday nights. It's beautiful. I mean, it's a great culture. It's a bunch of awesome people, but there's always going to be those redliners that push the limit, and they're dragging the curbs, which people do what they do. But I was unfortunate enough that I got to see a couple people pass away, and the worst one for me, I can almost excuse, okay, this person was pushing the limit, so they died. That's part of
yeah.
it, right? I was watching this man and woman. They were riding a cruiser. I believe it was a Goldwing, and I was in the middle lane. They were in the fast lane, and it was just one of those days where it's like, man, it'd be awesome to have a bike, right? I'm looking over at them. Next thing I know, I see that back end kind of wobble a little bit, and having ridden a bunch myself, I notice he's hitting the clutch, hitting the brake, the hand brake, and then he's hitting the foot brake, hitting the clutch, hitting
Oh,
he's doing all these things the right way. He's not like slamming on the brakes, sending the bike into a slide. He's doing everything right. And as soon as that back wheel started to go down, it must have been a puncture, and that rear wheel hit the concrete or the blacktop.
Yeah.
Dude, it shot her over the median into oncoming traffic. She was safe. She was able to crawl back, but just laid there covered up and just scraped and bloodied. And it killed him. It slung him head first into the median. She went over it. He went into it. And the bike just rolled down the interstate. And I mean, I'm 30, 40, 50 feet behind it when I
Yeah.
see all this happen. And it was just like, that's my only hesitation, because he did everything right, and that was still the result. And I mean,
And dude,
that's
yeah.
life in a nutshell, though, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you can't
exactly.
predict it, but shit, man,
But that's like one of those things, like, I think about it. So I had an uncle who passed away on a motorcycle, and obviously he wasn't doing the right things. He was drinking and having a good time with his motorcycle friends and all that, and he made a mistake. And I was 13, and that stuck with me for many years. And, I went to go see him in the hospital and everything. But every time I get on, I'm like, I'm going to ride really cautious, but is something going to happen to the bike? Or
yeah,
is something going to happen to someone to the left or to the right of me? You know what I mean? So I think about it, and, for the first couple of months, people are like, man, motorcycle riding is so relaxing. I'm like, hell no, bro. It scares the hell out of me. I'm nervous, and I go to sleep right after because I'm stressed out. But, but now I've found some comfort in knowing, like, I feel like I understand the bike real well, and I respect it, and I try and maintain that every time. I definitely have a lot of opportunities to go riding with people, and I choose not to most of the time for any other reason that I'd like to just do my own thing to make sure that I can protect myself. But it's an intimidating thing, dude, because life is going good, and
right,
the last thing I want to do is make any decisions to kind of ruin that for my kids and for my wife. But
absolutely.
but I also don't want to live in a bubble. You know what I mean? So it's this
Yeah.
weird balance I got to figure out.
How's I got to ask you a question about the show. Just one guy, Emilio Rivera. What about that dude? He's a cool looking character. He's got a badass attitude on there. Like,
Dude,
how cool is that guy to work with?
he is genuinely one of the best people I've ever met.
I like
And
hearing that.
yeah, and he's been like a mentor for me in acting. He really is there for any questions I have, any issues I have, like anytime I have doubt, because like, I'm one to admit when I'm insecure about something, and I tell him like, dude, I'm really insecure about it. He goes, no, bro, you're doing good.
Yeah.
And he's just there to reassure me. And as much as a scary dude he is on film, he's the sweetest freaking person, like such a good person. And so, I mean, I love that dude. That's one of the guys I'm super excited to go see and just have a cigar and talk to him, because I just think he's got a wealth of knowledge of experience in life.
Yep.
He's been in the military. He wasn't a gang. He was a gang member. He was an addict. He's gone through everything. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
now he's doing some amazing things in Hollywood. And I just love to see stories like that. You know what I mean? And just to have him as a friend is great.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that in a culture like Hollywood, there's a wide variety. I mean, a lot of times it seems you hear the bad, but I think more and more lately, as I've started to just happenstance, at SHOT Show, you meet somebody that's got a celebrity profile or something like that, and they're just really good people. You never know what goes on behind closed doors kind of thing, but it's always good to hear that somebody like that's been around the game for a while is actually as cool as they seem. I mean, he seems like an interesting dude to me. How much is those kind of relationships and friendships guided you through some of the pitfalls that a lot of people hit in Hollywood?
Well, it's crazy, man. I think I showed up to Hollywood very grounded already. Like, I know who I am. I know what I want to do. And I'm not here for fame and glory, because I don't give a shit about that,
Right.
And so just that alone, I think it's really easy to be in the Hollywood scene and maintain who you are.
Yep.
I think a lot of the youngsters have trouble with it because of fast onset of fame can generate a lot of crazy emotions, And so that alone, everyone on set is super awesome. I think we were all very blessed to be given the opportunity to be on Mayans, because we know how life-changing this show can be. Like what Sons of Anarchy was, if this turns into just half of the success of Sons of Anarchy, we will all have very successful careers.
Mm-hmm.
And so just on that alone, I think everyone was so genuinely appreciative for the opportunity that it was like such an easy set to work on, because everyone was there to help each other. Like if you're successful, then the show's successful. So everybody was trying to make sure everyone was doing their job and was completely comfortable. And it made for, I'm shocked. I guess I've always heard the stories about Hollywood, and man, everything on set to me was one of the best experiences of my life. And I'm just blessed to be there. And I hope I continue to be there because it's the best acting classes I could ever have because I'm
Right.
getting all my experience on set. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. So how's your life? Aside from the money aspect, which that's not important. How much has your life changed, or how much has your status of celebrity shifted? Have you really had to modify your day to day, or do you just feel like it's giving you a place of peace where you've got work, you've got something sustainable?
I think it's probably stressed me out a little bit more because now it's like I've done and everything else. Like now I want to be great. Like, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like now I challenge myself to do more. And I think that's where I have to check myself and not go too far into this world and actually leave my family behind. And so that's really the only thing is I get excited about the challenges of acting and how far I want to try and take acting. And so that's really my always I know me and I'm scared of myself when I get into that realm. But like as for like I mean, sometimes we get stopped when I go eat dinner or something and whatnot. But I live in Salt Lake City and most people probably don't know that. So like
yeah,
no one really cares when I'm here. But when I go to LA, I notice the big difference of people stopping for pictures and asking for autograph, which is cool, man. I have no issues with that.
yeah,
And it doesn't change the way I think about anything. It's just I know it's part of the game. But I'm appreciative. I'm appreciative of fans. I'm appreciative of supporters, like people that follow me and listen to my podcast. Like all that stuff to me is like these people grant me the livelihood that I have, and so I have to genuinely appreciate their time as well.
yeah.
And so that's all it is. But I know me, the way I am with shit. I want to be the best at everything I do, and so I've challenged myself to try and go out there and do more in acting. And I want to, for many reasons. Of I know there's a little bit of pressure. I give myself maybe pressure that there's other veterans out there that are looking for opportunities after military, and they see me, and hopefully they see that there is an option there, right?
For sure.
And that for me drives me to do more. And that's really the motivation.
What got you into acting?
Man, when I started doing YouTube I think it's about 7 years now, 6 years ago, me, Matt Best, and Jared Taylor, all of us started doing, YouTube videos. From there, we produced a movie called Range 15. And
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
yeah, that was us, man. And it did well, right? It was cool. The community came together and really helped us, be successful in a dream. But, that was like my first real taste. And I was like, you know what? I would love to do this. Like, why not me? Why can't I be the next Danny Trejo? Like, why can't I be the next Rock? Why can't I feel like I'm talented enough and I have enough experience and drive and will and all the other things. Like, why can't I try? And so I started slowly working towards that goal. Like, I started doing sketch comedy with a buddy doing Dads in Parks. It's this dad comedy that we do.
yeah,
And that started taking off for me pretty good. And then all of a sudden I'm in LA at the right time in the right place. And they have an audition open and someone made a call for me. And then boom, all of a sudden I'm in the room doing an audition in front of Kurt Sutter for Mayans MC. And I'm like, no way, this is crazy. There's no way I'm going to get this, but this is a good experience. And then boom, I landed it.
yeah.
And that's been the beginning of it. Since then, dude, I have not landed a role since. I've had countless freaking auditions and fail. So it's been a tough road, man. It's been a challenge.
So what is the status of Mayans? I mean, is it coming back around? Are you
Yeah, I'm actually
prepping
yeah.
for that now?
Yeah, I drive out to LA and I start Monday. We start doing, I do hair, makeup tests and wardrobe tests and we start season 2 here coming up.
Hell yeah, man. So when you're, prepping for this, obviously there's a lot of visualization, some mental stuff. Physically, are you required to do any kind of training for that? Are you doing it on your own? What's your step right now?
I really hate seeing myself on film. I'm really like embarrassed because I feel like I look like I've gained a lot of weight, and during that season I was going through some medical issues. And so I'm just mad at myself for letting myself go
Yeah,
in the sense, like mentally, I was like, you know what? Because my health isn't good, I can just eat like crap, and which is completely wrong.
right.
But that's where my mentality was, and I saw the changes throughout each episode, how much more weight I gained, and it really hurt me, man. It hurt my heart, man, to see like what am I doing? I'm
Yeah,
trying to represent something bigger than myself. I'm trying to represent veterans. I'm trying to represent the family, the Vargas, my name, and I felt like I looked like a slob, and so definitely prepared for it this time. I feel like I'm mentally more on top of myself. I know what I'm not just bringing to the table acting. I'm bringing to the table. I'm on a pedestal for others to watch, and if I'm going to do that, I want to lead by example. And same as in the military, I have the title of I was an Army Ranger. I don't want to embarrass other Army Rangers to say, "Oh yeah, he was a Ranger," and I'm
Yeah.
overweight and out of shape. You know what I mean? For only reasons is for insecurities and laziness.
Yeah.
And so I've been preparing. I've been eating right. I've been working out, and I've just really been focused on trying not to have those bad days where I just give up and say, you know what, I'm having 7 donuts and 12 tacos. You know what I
Dude,
mean?
what do you think it is, man? Because I went through that a lot with myself, and I mean, I feel like I've done a lot of positive changes physically, done a lot of work, emotionally and spiritually and whatnot. But man, it's a hard place when you know you're going backwards and you can't really stop the train, or you're not even trying to stop the train. But it's like you have this awareness, right? I'm not doing what the things I need to do. I'm going backwards. I don't feel like I used to. I don't look like I used to. What do you think that is, man? Because is it a type of depression, or is it
Dude,
because
it's so funny you say that. I was just going to say, like, I don't want to tell myself it's depression
yeah,
because I've never felt like I feel like people with depression, they have I feel bad for someone that's dealing with depression. And
right,
I don't know if I can't even, I don't want to label it depression because I feel like I guess it's disrespectful towards those that are,
yep,
but I sometimes feel like, man, what's wrong with me? I
hmm,
know exactly what I need to do to be in shape. I know exactly, like, I don't have to open up any book. I don't have to contact any of my buddies. I know exactly what I need to do to get in shape. You know what I
yep,
mean? It's get my diet right and go to the damn gym. Consistency,
yeah,
like, I know it and I've done it. So that's even harder for me to say, like, I have no freaking excuse. But every day I used to wake up, eat a bowl of cereal, and then go eat something else, grab a bunch of tacos. Go at night, I'd get a bowl of cereal, and then I'd also freaking have a banana and a Pop Tart, right? Like, and the whole time I'm doing this, I'm heating up my Pop Tarts. I'm sitting here thinking, like, what am I doing?
yep.
And then it goes, then they pop out and I go, hell yeah, and I eat it.
Exactly, dude. I went through the same thing, and mine was because I was trying to do the wrong things, and I was trying to come back to powerlifting. Obviously, I wanted to powerlift, so what I do, I powerlifted instead of, maybe taking steps to just get on the treadmill and walk a little bit, get the knee moving, and then graduate to, okay, I'm going to leg press, and then graduate to, okay, I'm going to do some squats on a box, and then, instead of taking the time. Sometimes I think we frustrate ourselves because we try to do it too fast. It's like, well, I want to get in shape today, but
Yeah.
that's going to take 12 weeks. So what's one more day? And then, it goes into the next day and the next day. And then it's like, it's been a month or two and you're still sitting here on this cycle. Man, that's why I kind of put out there that I really wanted to improve myself for Summer Strong coming up at Sornex in the next couple of weeks. I really wanted to tighten up my diet and give myself a goal for that event. Not because, I was training, I was going hiking, I was doing all the right stuff, but it was just like I'd kind of let off the gas a little bit. It was like, okay, starting to look pretty good in some clothes that I wasn't looking good in some clothes before. I got this event and I look pretty good at that. I feel good about that. And then I stopped. And then it was
Yeah,
like, oh, that shirt that I really, really liked, it didn't fit so good the last time I put it on. So
bro.
it's just a constant friggin' battle. And like when you're a kid, you played baseball.
Yeah.
You have the structure of that discipline of like at 3 o'clock, mom's going to drop me off at practice. I go to practice, we run, we play, that accomplishes the goal. Dude, I have a gym in my garage. And for the longest time, that place was just like a slap in the face. I would look at it and I couldn't make myself go out there.
Or the coat hanger.
Yeah, dude, I could not make myself go out there. I
I
could
know,
not.
dude.
I can remember this one night I was sitting in my garage on the bench and I wanted to do some dumbbells. And I was just like, why can't I do this? Like, what
I,
is your fucking problem, dude? Why can't you get over this hump? I'm in
dude,
the garage. Couldn't
it's the
do it.
hardest thing, bro. I've done that where I've showed up to the gym and I showed up to the gym, put 45s on the flat bench and try and warm up. And then after one set, I get up and walk out of the gym. And I'm
Hmm.
like, what the fuck is wrong with me, dude? And it's a weird thing. And I think it's like, there's always embarrassment, dude. Like right now, my bench is embarrassing. And it's one of those things where I got to get over my own ego, dude, because I feel like everyone's watching me.
Yeah.
And oh, he's only lifting 135. What a wimp! And it gets to my head where I'm like, you know what? I'll just go do push-ups in my house until I can do 225 again.
Yeah. No, I
and
get it, man.
and this kind of like these insecurities, man, eat me alive, dude. Dude, it's probably been 7 years since I've gone swimming with my kids with my shirt off.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? It's this weird thing where I'm like, I don't feel like swimming. I don't feel like swimming. No, it's the only thing is I'm embarrassed of how I've let myself get. And I've told myself like I don't want to do that to them. You know what I mean? Like last year I just jumped in the pool. Who cares? My kids see me as dad. They don't see me as oh, he used to be a ripped and now he's not, you know? But
Yeah.
in my head, I do that to myself so often and it eats me alive. I'm so embarrassed to even say it out loud, but it's true. Like I for some reason I'm the worst critic for myself. And the worst thing is like I know everything I need to do to fix it.
Yeah. I think that's I think that's the damaging thing of it all is that it becomes this cycle. You know, I know
Yeah.
I'm the key holder, yet I still make the same mistake, and then I still know I'm the key holder, and yet I still make the same mistake, dude. It's so hard, and you know, when you get busy, you start to compartmentalize, or I do for sure. And it's like, okay, I'm on the road this weekend for 4 days. Okay, if I just walk in the city, that's good enough. Maybe if I eat good enough, and then you get to the city, you don't walk, you don't eat good, you know, you enjoy yourself out, and it's in the sake of like this trap of, okay, I'm trying to enjoy myself, I'm trying to be involved, I'm trying to live my life, I'm trying to meet these people,
YOLO.
and then I'm also trying to be someone who's responsible and makes choices. And dude, it's a battle, and I think that's what I want people to understand from this is it's like I get people that will occasionally send me messages and say, "Man, your life is exactly what I want," and this, that, and the other. And it's not that I'm not proud that someone wants what they imagine my life is. It's just that I want people to understand that my life is ongoing, and a lot of the stuff in the past was just trial and error. You know, like some of the hardest, darkest days of my life are behind me, but it got me to this point. So it has a purpose, but I also know that dark days can come again.
Oh yeah.
And I'm constantly trying to weigh out and evaluate how I can be better and how I can do one thing better per day. Because I really do. Like I do good with the head stuff. Like I do good with the mental stuff and the forgiveness of myself and looking back on different things. But reconciling my body has been one of the hardest things because for 20 years I was a big, strong guy. You know,
Yeah.
I was able to say, well, I have this power belly because I deadlift 840 pounds. Oh, that makes sense. Well, now I have this little chubby belly
Yeah.
because I like pies and cakes and things like
Oh,
that.
bro. Like I sit there and justify sometimes the dad bod. I'm like, it's all good. I'm 30. I'm 37, turning 38. I got 6 kids. I can be out of shape. And then I'm like, no, dude. I don't want my own kids to think that. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just a weird space. Especially when you grow up and you're always a physical specimen. Like I've always
Right.
grown and been in shape of some case. Like, dude, I've been special operations in almost everything I've ever done, from the prison, from border patrol, for the military, and so they always expect this high level of fitness. And then from when I got out, like there was no real mission for me to be fit anymore. So it's kind of like I let myself go, and then got so upset at myself for doing that. It was
Well,
just
that's
like,
you nailed something right there that I've gone on and on about with my clients is that if I don't have something to train for, what am I training for? You know what I
yeah,
mean? So, and when I stepped away from competition, I did Cam Haines trail run out in Salt Lake or Park City. I can't remember where last year. So that was motivation to train for. I had the 100,000 meter row that I did, which was something to train for. And man, I was able to train, no problem, no questions asked.
yeah,
Let's hit the gym. And then after all that kind of died down, and it was like, okay, you've done some cool stuff this year. You ran a marathon, you ran another marathon, you did this and you did that. It's like, okay, now what? And then it was like, I just want to hike mountains and I just want to get outside. Well, you can hike at 1 mile an hour. You know, it's not going to like,
yeah.
it's not going to accumulate a ton of weight loss just doing that a few days a week. So, where do you go from here, man? What are you going to try to do
Yeah.
get
Well,
to get it back? I mean, are you doing like you said, you're doing the stuff at home? Are you able to segue back into the gym, or does the cast and
yeah.
the crew get some training there on set?
No, we do. We actually have some weights, and everyone's pretty motivated, and they push each other to work out. We'll tell each other like, "Hey, let's all show up at 10 and work out before we get on set, you know? And
Sick.
so
Yeah.
that's a cool thing, man. We all back each other up, but also I give myself little missions. And just recently I told my wife, I'm going to compete in some jiu-jitsu tournaments coming here soon.
Hell yeah.
And so, yeah. And so that's exactly what you're saying. Like that gives me a reason to train. Like it gives me a reason to lose a little bit of weight because I don't want to wrestle in the heavy weights. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it gives me some purpose and actually something to set a goal and go towards. And so that's probably my next. I told her like I need something. Like the way I've been built my whole life is to compete and challenge myself. And if I'm not doing that anymore, it's hard to find motivation in just getting up to get in shape.
For
And
sure.
so now, you know, but and the other thing is like I know I can land more roles in acting by being in good shape. Like the way it is in Hollywood is you look good, dude, you're going to get opportunity. And so, you know, I know that. And look, that's my career now. And so I got to take that just as serious as I did as being an Army Ranger. I got to train for it. I got to go to acting school and I got to stay fit for many reasons. And that is now my mindset in acting. It wasn't before. Before it was like, dude, I'm going to be hired as a big guy no matter what. Like, no, dude, you can give yourself a lot more opportunity by being in shape and being ready for anything. I want to be able to get casted as a military guy. And, you know, at my weight last year, there's no way. They're going to be like, who are you, the freaking fat out of shape guy? Like, no, I don't want that. I want to be hired as a special operations student. I want to be hired as a undercover cop. I want to be hired as an ex-con prison guy, whatever. But all those represent a certain physique that is, you know, that looks demanding on film. And I want to be able to represent that well. And so now my mindset is like, I have to be in shape for my career. And a career that's paying my bills, you know?
Exactly. Well, who do you look to as like, if you could, you know, pick anybody out and say, that's the guy that I want to look like, who are you kind of like sticking to your refrigerator as motivation?
You know, unrealistically, I love the rocks. Like everyone knows, I post all these silly rocks.
The one on the plane was amazing, dude.
You know, the thing is like, I love the dude's character. I love his motivation and his work ethics. Like you can't deny it. That guy's working hard.
Yeah.
You know, whether he's the best actor in the world, I don't think he is. I think he's one of the best entertainers.
Yeah,
you know?
For sure. Big difference, but important.
Big difference. Exactly. And there's a space for that. And so I definitely look up to him in that aspect. You know, I've always been a guy that loves bodybuilding.
Yep.
But I know that's not for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I love watching these bodybuilders just turn their bodies into this amazing specimen. And so I find a lot of motivation in watching that, but to trying to become the best version of me. Like I have an old picture of myself in 2012, and I was really happy with that physique. So I always go back to that picture and say, you know what? I would like to get closer to that. And that, I guess I'm just chasing the dude in my past, right? That's the guy on my fridge that I'm trying to look back to. Right. Because I know if I've gotten there once, I know I can do it again, no matter what age.
You know what's something's crazy? When I was in college, I was in the 240s. I was very, very athletic. I could dunk a basketball. I was throwing for the college team. You know, I was just like the time of my life. 240, had abs. It really had it all. And then I got into powerlifting and it was like, well, we need to be bigger and you need to be bigger. And then it's like, we need you to be bigger by this date and so on. And now I'm trying to be 240 and athletic with abs. You know what I mean? It's like I was already there, but it's further than just my body, man. It's so many things like shooting my bow, hunting, getting outside, hiking. These are all things that I put on hiatus for like 20 years, you know, and now I'm trying to get back to this younger version of me. And I wrestle with the idea, am I longing for days gone by, or am I just recognizing that maybe the world was okay when I didn't have the perception of having it all? You know, I was just good with myself. So I wrestle with that. Do you have any of that kind of stuff going on? Because I mean, you've had some pretty awesome shit behind you, you know? Yeah,
man. But you know, what's funny is I always question whether I'm doing something for vanity or for health. You know what I mean? Like that's what I struggle with. And I want to make sure that everything I'm doing is not to please others, but only to please myself. And that's a constant thing for me. It's like, what, am I trying to lose weight because I want others to look at me better? Well, who cares what they think? I should be happy with myself. And I know this, that when I'm in better shape, I've had better opportunities. And that's not just like opportunities like, oh, because you're in good shape. No, but like, you know, I think I've got my wife is attracted to me because I was in good shape.
Right.
My kids, you know, I've been able to play sports and be healthier. My body was in better shape and I was healthier for my family to be able to run around and play catch with the boys and compete with them. So all these things, like I have to make sure I know that what I'm doing is for me and for the family and not for vanity. And that's always dude, it's real easy to want to post your abs when you start seeing them again. You know what I mean? But
For
like,
sure.
I know for a fact I'm going to do everything I can to never do that because I don't want to be fulfilled with likes and then start chasing that because it's a sensitive world, man. When you're on social media, it's hard for you not to acknowledge like, oh, that picture got 3,000 likes. Nice.
Well,
You know what I
and
mean?
here's the thing. You may be truly genuine and like, dude, look, I've been working out and I got abs. Like it's a positive thing in your life. And when you post something about your kids or your wife or, something close to the heart and you get 500 likes, and then you post this ab picture and you get 300, you're automatically going to start gravitating towards one or the other. You know what I mean? You're going to be like, oh, fuck those guys. Like they only like my shit for my abs. I'm never going to show them again. Or you're
Yeah.
going to say, well, they don't like me as much when I show my family and my kids. I guess I got to show more of this, And it's a
Right.
choice. And dude, I used to be the worst. Like all I posted was my workouts. All I posted was the good stuff. And I decided somewhere a while back that I just wasn't going to post my workouts anymore. Like, and dude, that was a shot in the foot, from a business standpoint, because that was my bread and butter. But
Yeah.
I was so much dictating what I did relative to the questions I didn't want to answer via
Uh-huh.
Instagram. And
Dude,
dude, that's a
that's
hard
huge,
world,
man.
man. It's a hard thing to do.
I've gotten shit for posting my family.
Hell
You know,
yeah.
I've had people be like, dude, no one wants to see that. They want to see like your Ranger pictures. I'm like, bro, you're gonna get whatever the hell I give you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna post whatever I feel good about. Like, and even when I post a picture, I want to make sure I'm not posting that for their likes. Like
Yep.
I don't need affirmation from strangers.
Yep.
I don't. And I gotta make sure I know that and I gotta make sure that I continue to think like that.
Yep.
Because yeah, man, sometimes people are chasing, acceptance,
Yeah.
and I don't ever want to search for acceptance from strangers. I'd rather like look for that from my own wife. Be like, hey man, I'd like to tell my wife, look, I'm feeling a little insecure right now. Can you give me some good compliments? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Because like I'd rather get it that way.
Did you hear that Instagram is thinking about taking away the visible likes? Like as a person, you'll be able to see the count,
Yeah,
but
I heard that.
it's so weird that it's even a thing because it's like if you truly want a free social setting, you wouldn't give weight to anybody. Like just who they are would give them the weight, which I guess it does. But you've seen people, and I know I've done it too. You'll see people with a huge following. You don't know why. So you just follow along just to see what the buzz is about. And then you
Yep.
end up never unfollowing them. I don't think I've ever unfollowed anybody unless they're just like out and out terrible. You know what I mean?
I've been unfollowing people recently, and I'll tell you why, man. For this one reason, I've realized like we all know time is everything. Like
Sure.
time is all we have, and us guys like me and you who kind of work around social media, and it's just our livelihood. You tend to be on your phone quite a bit, looking at other people's stuff,
Yep.
and I feel like if they're not providing any value to me, well, then they don't deserve my time.
Yeah.
And so I remove them, man. And that's something that just recently, like in the past 3 months, I've told myself, like, it's like that road to enlightenment. Like, how can I better myself daily? Well, one, stop looking at garbage. And so I've unfollowed multiple different accounts and I continue to find a new account pops. I'm like, I don't need to follow that.
Yeah.
Boom. You know what I mean? And that's only because I want to better myself daily and I want my kids to better themselves and I want to kind of lead by example, that whole thing. But then it makes me like, am I providing value?
Right.
Am I giving? You know what I mean?
I know, dude. I go through the same shit. It's so funny, man, because it's like, it's funny when you said, vanity or health. That's a lot of myself when I talk about posting. It's like, okay, no matter what you do, you're getting and giving responses all the time, like whether they're verbal or nonverbal. But it's like when I post this photograph, am I just getting something from this? Like, am I posting this because I know I'm feeling myself and I'm looking good and I'm going to get some likes? Or am I going to say something worthwhile, or is the picture going to provide something worthwhile? And I feel like both are fair. But I think if you get to the point where all you're doing is searching for that clickbait type of content, not that you're wrong, but it's just not for me. It's just not, it's not my thing.
Right.
And
that's not what I'm trying to provide for everyone else.
No, hell no. And I mean, like you said, I look back on some of the stuff that I did 7, 8, 9 years ago, I guess kind of when the internet was really rapidly evolving into the Wild West. There were no rules as to what was going on. And it's like there's some shit I've put out there that I look back on and I just cringe about, man. I'm like, oh my
Oh, bro.
God, dude, this is terrible.
I still cringe when people talk about their own relationships. I cringe because I'm like, why?
Yeah.
No one can. Or here's another thing. Remember when it was really popular for everyone to be like, "Hey, share, make them famous." Like
Yeah.
I cringe. I'm like, dude, why? Just delete it and let them die in their freaking misery. Who cares?
Hell yeah, man.
But it's funny because there definitely is an evolution of social media, and we're all learning how to do it, and we've all done the dumb thing. We're like, oh, I broke up with her because you're like, whoa, dude, like, why would you post that?
Oh, I know, man.
I've done it, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I can't say I haven't done that, but
No.
I think in the social media world, I feel like I'm very mature now. You know what I mean? I'm at my age now, because before I was posting as a 12-year-old boy, dude.
Who's your favorite account to follow?
Man, I love Rob Bailey.
Yeah, I think that dude is amazing, man.
Yeah, I do. I follow Rob Bailey, and I had fortunate enough to work with him and to meet someone who I look up to in the fitness world as well, but have the very similar insecurities. It's nice to know. You know what I mean? I think that's helped me a lot in my path to try and get fit again, to know like there's a guy out there who hated working out and who was married to an Olympian, Miss Olympian for many years. And so, the guys like him to me I'm inspired by and I'm motivated by, because their truth is in their message, and people that are honest on social media, it's attractive, dude. Like, and not in the way like I'm attracted to him, but it's attractive to follow people that are genuine.
Yeah.
I think social media originally was a lot of like gimmicks and gags and silly videos. I stopped wanting to like follow that kind of stuff as much, and more towards like who is putting out the most honest, sincere message. Not like bro this, bro that, macho, but like there's days where he's really cool and there's days where he's down on it, and he says, hey, dude, the other day he had posted about I don't have any bad days. And I'm like, yes, dude, I love that mentality, because we all have to find that mentality. We all have bad days, but like, no, turn that bad day into a good day by taking something positive from that and continuing to go forward. Right.
Hell yeah.
And so that's the dude right there that I love seeing pop up on my feed. And I love seeing, your feed is me. Just recently, me and you, I've been like connecting with you so much on a lot of different levels. And it's crazy, man, because I posted a picture of you the other day and people thought it was me. And I laughed like yeah. Bro, I do not have those arms.
No, man, I get it. Cause Rob's one of my favorites too. I was sitting here trying to think, one of my favorites has to be National Geographic or like Nature is Metal. I love that page, but you're exactly right, dude. People that are out there, like, I follow this lady, Sav Cummins. I think her name is Savannah. I hope that's right. But she's a photographer. She's an expeditionist. And then this other lady, Jackie Head, she actually reached out to me through Concept, the rower, when I was doing the row. She rows marathons and 50,000 meters and 100,000 meters and all this kind of crazy stuff on the heels of losing her husband. She has become this world traveling expeditionist who's like, you know what? I was a British model in the 80s. Beautiful woman, by the way. And so gracious to me and so encouraging to me in my life journey and especially the rowing. But I'm looking at these people like 2,000 followers, 5,000 followers, 8,000, but they're doing the coolest shit in the world. And then you see somebody like Rob who's kind of transcended and has a massive following. But if you think that social media sucks, that thing is a direct reflection of the like buttons that you have collected. You know what I mean? Like you choose the accounts you follow. You choose the people that you engage with. If somebody comes at you with some bullshit, just block them. But seek these positive people out. It's everywhere.
Have you seen Iceman?
Yes.
Dude, that guy is intense, bro. And like things like that, like I love Joe Rogan. I love Joe Rogan's podcast. That's what got me into podcasting myself, was how diverse of a person he is, and the people he brings on have so much knowledge, man. And that's what I somehow got connected to the Iceman and started watching him. I'm like, all right, dude, I got to start jumping in some cold water here, bro. But it's like, I follow accounts like that push me to think, that push me to step outside my comfort zone, that acknowledge like the reality of life, like self-acceptance and all these things like that. That's what I follow. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a fan of NASCAR, so I don't really follow any NASCAR drivers. But I have a buddy who drives. I follow him. So I only follow these accounts that I follow a lot of military guys because I just love seeing what guys are out there doing, and I love seeing law enforcement out there. I'm a big supporter of law enforcement because I did that,
Yep.
and so I follow those accounts and just real people, man. It's hard for me to follow anyone that I feel is just posting to generate, I don't know. I guess there's guys who are influencing and there's guys who are manipulating. And so the
Right.
guys who
Yeah.
manipulate for you to buy a product all the time and this that are not providing a value, I try not to follow those anymore. I try and find the guys that influence in a positive manner or in a direction I like. Like Gary Vee, I think is awesome.
Yeah.
I think Gary Vee has so much knowledge that he drops for free. Andy Frisella, another guy that I think just drops so much knowledge for free that I think there's so much value in what they do. So yeah, I give them a follow and I watch what they have to say. And there's things I like and things I don't like. And so I take what I want, just like I do in my parenting for my own dad.
How much impact do you think a guy like Rogan has had on this generation?
I think he's one of the biggest influencers of our time,
Yeah.
hands down.
I know people
Yeah.
started it out as a kind of a joke, but they called him like the male Oprah. It's like if he says try this out, chances are I'm probably going to try it out. Like
Yeah, well, you know why though, man? It's because he comes from a genuine place.
yeah,
He comes from a place that's like, dude, he's not blowing smoke. He's not a car salesman.
right.
He doesn't give a shit whether you do it or not, but he's going to tell you, here's what I feel, here's what I like. He's got probably the most honest dialogue out there.
Yeah.
And I love that. You know what I mean? Like that to me is like, those are the people that I like to follow. And he has done it so well, man, so well. And yeah, man, he's probably one of the biggest influencers of our time.
One of the things that I started to do with his podcast, because I drive a lot and I love music, but I am the kind of person who, if I put on a record, you better just hold on because I'm not going anywhere for about 5 or 6 hours because I'll get down a rabbit hole of like, oh, this song reminded me of this or this song reminded me of that. And a lot of times I'd be driving to places for work and I wouldn't be able to think about what I needed to work on because I'm sitting here down a rabbit hole of music. So I started driving and listening to a lot of podcasts. Well, like anybody, I'm skipping around trying to find guests that I like and things like that. I just started committing to listening to his new podcast. Like if they come out, give them an hour, 1 hour, no matter who it is, just give it an hour. And I found that I never have turned it off once. Like that guy can make anybody interesting. I mean, did you see who he had on the other day? Not to not to try to harp on his podcast for too long, but he had this guy that bought a salvaged Tesla and just went about rebuilding it. Like Joe got turned on to this guy through somebody else's YouTube page or something. And it was one of the coolest conversations. I mean, he's just an excited guy about tinkering around and building cars. But I think, and this is a Rogan point for sure, in today's society, when's the last time outside of having headphones on you talked to somebody for just an hour? Yeah. And I think it's such an important thing. I think it's important to highlight, and that's what we really want to do with this podcast is just highlight people who have navigated these waters of life, who are living a good life and are doing amazing things day in and day out, not because there's a huge reward at the end of the rainbow. It's just that's how they like to live their life. And that's what the legendary status is for me, is people who live life on their own terms. They don't hurt anybody else in the process, and they just do the best they can to make others better. And in my voice or trying to find my voice, I still think that we're on the climb to figure out how to do this better and better. But that's definitely one guy that I look to is Rogan's stuff, and his ability to analyze things even from perspectives that aren't his own.
Yeah, I mean that's how I think that's how we all should be thinking like that, right? That we all should, it's like the political stuff. People have all these political opinions. I'm like, look, man, I like to listen to the right's opinion, the left's opinion, and then kind of form my opinion in the middle of what I believe. But and if you can't think openly enough to one, see your side of it, but see someone else's viewpoint, like that's where I think that's humanity, man. Like everyone's raised different. Everyone's lived different lives. And so everyone will have different opinions on every subject. Raising kids, that's a crazy subject, dude. There's people that think you should be friends with your kids, or some people think you should discipline your kids, all these different ideas. But like, you know what? I'm not going to judge anyone for their belief system. I'm going to say, here's mine. That's yours. You can do yours. I'll do mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And stay in my own lane. And I think that's what the cool thing. Joe Rogan, he'll say his opinion.
Right.
But at the same time, he'll also say like, hey, cool. That's your life. You're living.
Yeah.
enjoy it, and that's what that's how I take life myself. Like I'm always like, none of my business, man. My world. If you step into my circle and start affecting my family, then it's my business. But
Right.
until then, dude, I don't care what you do.
You got anybody that you kind of started out having beef with and now you're friends with because your perspective has changed? Not really that they've changed, but that your perspective on exactly what you just said, like, man, they're just living their life. Have you found anybody
You
like
know,
that?
yeah. There's a guy out there on social media that was very everything he talked about was very aggressive, and I'm always like, man, what's this dude so aggressive about? And I didn't like him, and then I started listening. Not like I didn't like him, I just didn't agree. So I'm like, I don't want to surround myself with that kind of negative, like combative energy. And then as I start to get to know the guy, I'm like, okay, I get where he's coming from. And like I don't share the same opinions on all subjects, but I do see what he means by it. And that's Sean Whalen, who Sean Whalen is we had a podcast, incredible podcast, man. And that's where I was like, dude, it's so funny. I get so nervous to associate myself with people because of the way they run their social media.
Yep.
Because I'm like, I don't want people to associate me like that.
Right.
Me and him are friends, but we've kind of, we're on our own path. He does his thing, I do my thing. As much as I like the guy, he was very controversial in everything he posted. So I'm like, oh, I got to steer clear of that. And I'm not a fan of that style. But you know what, man? That's not my fucking world. And that's not my social media. So why do I give a fuck what he does? You know what I mean? And you know what? That guy has helped motivate and inspire a lot of people. And you know what? That's what I'm trying to do too. So I can't knock the dude for doing it his way because he might look at mine and say, I don't like the way he does his shit. And so I've been able now to pull myself back and be like, you know what? Accept everyone's like, let them do it. He ain't putting no harm to me, man. So why do I care? And so when I invited him on my podcast, it was cool to have, man, we had one of the coolest conversations about life. And I was like, you know what? I'm a believer, man. I like the guy.
Yeah.
Again, everyone runs their social media the way they want, and that's to their own. But you know what? He's treated me good. He's treated my family good. He's just been a good person all around. And now, like, me and him are boys.
Well, dude, I respect that because, man, I'll tell you what, I've eaten crow quite a few times, more and more, as I've gotten older and gotten more reflective, I guess. There's people that I just didn't like because I just didn't like them. I made that choice for whatever reason, the way they wore their clothes or the way they styled just juvenile bullshit. And I had this one guy reach out to me and I could tell his name started to pop up. I started following him because we were engaging pretty heavily in some debate. I mean, it was fairly respectful. Like there's a few times that I thought we both probably crossed the line, but I just started following him. So I started seeing when he would comment, man, he just kept throwing shade about me. So I finally went to him, straight to the direct message. And I was like, look, man, let me give you some background on me. Let me give you some background on the shit that you're talking about. Yeah, there's a lot of that that's true. There's a lot of that shit that you've heard that's true. Here's some things that I can clear up for you, and here's some things that are just completely false. And from that conversation, he ended up becoming not only a client, he became a friend of mine. We've exchanged gifts back and forth for Christmas and whatnot. And, he's somebody that I hated him. I mean, I just fucking hated him. And then now we get along the best. And like you said, we're actually people, that engage with each other more often than most people would even expect. It's a weird world, but it's like that movie Hostels. Have you seen that?
Yes, dude.
Dude, we hate exactly what we are most of the time. You know what I mean? Those two dudes, that's a great movie, by the way. But those two dudes were the same version, just fighting for different things, right? Yes. And I mean, that's when I watched that, it was like, oh, it's my whole life on screen, like fighting people that are exactly like me, because it's insecurity. It all goes back to that.
Well, think about being a soldier, and we're fighting, and it's this very taboo conversation, man. But we're fighting for what we believe in our country,
right?
And you go overseas, and you're fighting against guys that believe in wholeheartedly in what they believe in their country.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So a part of you has to respect their fight. As much as I can't stand their rationality, I can't stand innocent people being hurt. But you know what? It all comes from a place of belief. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like people say, "Oh, I can't believe you're going overseas to go to war." Like, yeah, man, because I really believe that I want to serve our country, and I believe this is the way I need to do it to hopefully continue in the path that we are as America. But you know what? That guy I'm fighting against is the same belief system in his own way. And you have to have some kind of respect towards that.
Right.
Because that's where I come from in my head. I think like, look, this dude's fighting for his life just as much as I am. So, and he has his belief system. And it's one of those things like you have to know your enemy. Like that's what I know. I know that that dude believes in it just as much as I believe in it. So you got to take the fight to this dude, right?
Right.
Like, that's what it is. Like we all have our beliefs, and people who don't agree with you, I mean, it comes from a place of genuineness, right? It comes from a place where, and I'm curious to sometimes know why. Like the irrationality to hating someone is weird, but when you have a reason, like, okay, cool, I get it. Like I have a guy that like on the mines that didn't like me because I was a former cop.
Right.
And once he didn't like me, he made comments that I was like, okay, I might have an issue with this dude because he keeps making comments that I was a pig and I was a cop, and I'm like, that's not gonna fly with me, bro. Because like, hey, I did what I did. That's my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so as we got to know each other, he starts kind of sliding in these questions, and then eventually realized like, yeah, I was a cop, but you know what? I have my belief system, and I was genuine to it, and I'm not about, I grew up in the same neighborhood as he did, and my thing in being in law enforcement, I believe there's this balance where you have to be a man of the law, and also at the same time you have to be able to communicate. You have to be human to those that sometimes are breaking the law. Like I understood people that I was arresting because I've lived a very similar lifestyle and made my own mistakes.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so I think that's where he started to get to know me. Like, okay, cool. You come from a place of like of I've experienced my own share of dumb shit, and I never treat any, like, I don't judge people for making the mistakes. It's like, okay, I'm doing my job, you're doing your job. This is where it is. And so me and him now see I think closer eye to eye, but it was funny to have a little bit of beef because of that. It was a weird space.
Well, dude, I mean, it's just I think the reward. I can't remember how the saying goes. I've said it a couple times, but it really is true. It's like the satisfaction or the peacefulness of an older man is that he's outlived the folly of his youth. And I think when we're young and dumb and we're all sitting here trying to be this person that conquers the world or changes the world, and we think that means this grand scale thing, and it can, but I can tell you, and you know this, impacting my son, impacting my family, impacting my friends, that will change the world, without any doubt at all. Dude, we got over an hour so fast. It's ridiculous. We got to do this more often.
Anytime, bro. Anytime you want me on, man. I'm here.
I don't even want to shut it down, but I know you got stuff to do, and it's really great to get to know you, man. And I'm really thankful that we've done these 2 podcasts. Let's just make it a plan to do some more, because you're one of my favorite people to talk to, dude. And I'm real proud of all the shit you got going on.
Thank you, brother. I'm down. You tell me when, and then I'll make the time.
All right, brother. As always, stay strong, love yourself, love somebody. Most importantly, be legendary.